What is up, fellow pirates? We are waiting for One Piece chapter 1128. Unfortunately, it is delayed a little bit. Seems like it would usually come out earlier in the day, but it hasn't come out for a couple hours now. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know, but I'll be here for the next 3 hours. Hopefully the chapter comes out in the next 3 hours, but I'll probably end it like around 8:30 my time, so that's like in 3 hours. So yeah, I mean, there's still a lot of stuff we could discuss in terms of One Piece, like the new announcement that they showcased yesterday about the One Piece fan letter thing. Because there's a huge thing going on with that, where a lot of people are saying Usopp is getting cucked. But that is not the case, so we'll go over that a little bit. I did get something One Piece related, so that should be a fun thing to reveal on stream. But overall, we're just waiting. We'll check out what, Twitter is doing, what Twitter is up to. Usually it's never anything good, but we'll see what they're saying over on, the Twitter. Excuse me one sec. How are you today, Graz? Hopefully you're having a lovely day. I think that should be enough. Hiya! Today was a holiday for you? Nice! What holiday was it? Or was it just like you decided to take a day off? But you know what? It's good. Always take holidays when you can. You do not need to work every single day of the year because it can be very stressful. I understand that that means no money, right? But definitely, if you can, take your vacations. That's what they are for. They are there to help you. They're not there to make people think that you're lazy. They're there because you should have them. No person, and I know a lot of people do this anyway, but no person should be working every single fucking day, 9 to 5, without a vacation day, without having some sort of vacation. That's just insane. So yeah. Oh, Germany got an American puppet state, so they celebrate. What the hell does that mean? I don't know what that means. What the hell is American puppet state? I don't know what that is. Work starts here at 7 a.m.? That's nuts. Well, do you work 4 days or 5 days a week? Five? So that's 7. And what time do you get off at? Because then, if you get off, I'm assuming you get off like at 3. 3 p.m. Yeah, so you're working. So you're working. So you're technically working 9 to 5. So you're technically working 9 to 5. Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, that's basically normal. All right. So, as we wait for the new chapter, chapter's not out yet. We're waiting for the new chapter. Hoping it comes out in the next 3 hours. Hello, Nico Robin. How are you? Chapter hopefully comes out in the next 3 hours because that's how long I'm able to stream for. But there was a thing announced yesterday. I think it was after the episode. Let me see if I could find it. Yeah, so this. So this was announced. One Piece fan led a special episode. Now, for those wondering what this is essentially a special episode that Megumi Ishitani, who is known for that very, very famous One Piece episode with Yamato Ace and the whole flashback with Oden's novel. It's essentially going to be a... We don't know if it's going to be more than one thing or more than one of these stories, but there's going to be based off the Straw Hat stories that was written in the One Piece magazine. However, these were not written by Oda, they were written by someone else. So whether or not they were approved by Oda, I don't know. But they're filler. They're not actually canon story, they're just filler stuff. Kind of like the heroine stories that were also in the One Piece magazine. But, this one specifically is going to be about, at least from what we see, this one's going to be specifically about Nami's Straw Hat story. In the original story, in the original Straw Hat story featuring Nami, it's not a little girl, but it was some guy who has admiration for Nami, or like views Nami as someone who what's the word I'm looking for? Inspired by Nami, right? But they decide to switch it up and make it like this little girl here. And essentially it's going to be the story of her trying to meet Nami back when the Straw Hats reunite at Shibori Archipelago. And that's what this is going to be essentially. Well, at least one of the stories. And yeah. In the original Straw Hat story, it's not actually a little girl, but some guy. This time they decide to switch it up. And, you know, to me, it makes a lot more sense. Because, you know, you would want, you know, female empowerment, female characters to be inspired by other strong female characters like Nami. Whether, you know, it's not necessarily always about, you know, if you can beat your next opponent, but like someone that admires and inspires you to be strong-headed, right? Follow your dreams, do all of this. That's where, you know, that's where you can be strong in your own way. So yeah, it was announced. There is a video for it. Let me see if I can find it. Here we go. Here's the video for it.
背景ナミさん、どうかこれからも素敵な冒険を続けてください。いわれの一味は今日、シャボンディ諸島に再集結する。
So it's very short. You don't really see much. You see like storyboard artwork and like, you know, pre-colored rendering, right? And it's we see like some of the shots in there showcase some of the other Straw Hat stories. So it might be like an entire anthology of many of these stories, so that would be fun. The thing that really The thing that really got a lot of people in the One Piece community really riled up from this was the Usopp one, which is funny to me. Bro, Hancock's a horrible person. Here's the thing: Hancock's character, initially was supposed to be a older woman. But Oda's editor essentially said, I don't think this would work. So Oda made her younger, and made her like the most beautiful woman in the world, as a way for Luffy to get to Impel Down. That was the whole purpose and creation of Hancock. It is interesting how like he portrayed her initially, with the kicking the dog and kicking the cat and dog, which I'm not a big fan of. I love animals. I hate when animals are abused in some sort of way. But there are other characters who have done it before, like Luffy choking out Shushu and stuff like that. But at least that was done with a comedic purpose. This one was essentially done like an actual, like, she kicked him because the dog was simply just in the way. So that's why I'm a little more annoyed by that than like Luffy choking Shushu and stuff like that, right? So it's like, yeah, I would rather have an old woman. To each their own. At the end of the day, I don't hate Hancock as a character. I just hate the way she was presented initially. That's my problem with Hancock. Like, I think she's slightly better whenever she thinks about Luffy. The problem is that when she doesn't think about Luffy and talks to other people, she still has this ego, which comes from the fact that she doesn't want to appear weak. Because if she appears weak, then it's like she feels like people will take advantage of her, similar to how she felt, or and how she was abused when she was a slave. So I get that idea, but you could literally make her overcome that by actually being not similar to that, And hopefully Oda writes in a way where she doesn't have to worry about being herself, So we'll see. How do you know Hancock was supposed to be an old woman? There was a data book. Let me see if I can find it. There was a data book, or maybe it was an SBS. I forgot which one it was, but there was a data book about it. Like, it was early sketches by Oda. Let me see if I can find it. Yeah, so this was an early sketch. Maybe I could just go on the website. Yes. So Oda's initial design bore Hancock Salam to be more old and sinister, but ultimately decided to change to her current appearance to make her more receptive to the readers as an eventual ally. Do you think design would affect the popularity of the series? So this was like one of her original design. Oh, Trisandi. Okay, cool. I did not know. I thought you were two different people. How are you, Trisandi? Hopefully you're doing well. I'm sure you've heard about the whole thing that's been happening in the Final Fantasy VII Twitter recently, and let me just say it's something, all right. It's fucking something. But yes, this was the original design for Hancock. She was supposed to be old and more sinister, more evil, but they decided to make her younger, because the whole point was that eventually she would become an ally for Luffy. Which I think she still is. She will appear again. She will have an important, well, depends on the importance, but she will have like a big role in the final conflict. She might join Cross Guild, who knows? But she'll definitely be part of a part of Luffy's alliance at the end of the day, along with the other the Kuja tribe, the Kuja pirates. So yeah, we will see her again. Just how big her role will be seen. My anticipation really is and this is more of the shipper and me talking, is having Hancock meet Nami, see how that interaction goes, because we've had several things where the possibility of showing that instance has happened, but it seems like Oda doesn't want Toei to handle that moment, so it does look like Toei doesn't want to do anything where they meet yet. So we'll see how it goes. I don't trust Toei because Toei is let's just say the way they do characterization sometimes, even for like Sanji's character, is fucking awful. So I wouldn't want them to fucking handle a situation where Nami Hancock me. I want to leave that to Oda, see what he does with it. Asa Donna had a broken Dofu. Yeah. Ace's death is his own fault. He literally couldn't handle someone talking about it. Whitebeard. I don't care about who Luffy will marry, so I just prefer Luffy to stay single in the ending. More than likely, Luffy will be. More than likely, no romance will be included in the actual story. It will probably be included in like a epilogue, if Oda does an epilogue, or the likelihood of a ship being canon is very. You're more than likely to get an open ending than a ship being canon. I know a lot of people. I know some people don't want that, but that's the more likelihood. For shipping wise, that is more of a threat than any other ship becoming canon. At the end of the day, that is more of a threat. Luffy should die before the end. You just hate Luffy. Although I will say, I was on the boat that Luffy will die at the end, but it's less likely now for me. Like, I initially thought that Luffy would die in the end, but I just don't see it happening. So, in terms of shipping wise, open ending is more likely than any ship being confirmed at all in the story. You might get something in epilogue, but the chances of that is still very low. The chances of any ship happening is very low. You have more of a chance of an open ending than any ship happening. But that doesn't mean that you can't still ship. I still believe that he still could have, Oda could still do it. I have more confidence in it now than I ever had, but we'll see. Only losing One Piece, like Donut. Ay. I mean, goodness, I've seen the drama unfold on both Twitter and Facebook. I don't know why it's been popping like this, and it's annoying. That's a whole nother can of worms I don't know if we should go over. But let's just say the idea that so many people just want to view Tifa as nothing more than a character for, like, hentai purposes is just disgusting to me. And they try to find, like, really weird dialogue in, like, the game to, like, try to paint her as such is so awful. It's such that's the type of shipping that you don't want to do, because you're slandering a character, you know, in the process, and that's something I don't like, especially when it comes to shipping. I did reply, "Hi Champ." Did you not see what I said? I said you're likely to get an open ending than any sort of shipping / romance happening in One Piece's story. It could happen in an epilogue, but it's likely you will get an open ending more than anything. But I have confidence that Oda would do something. But we'll see. Right, where was I? Oh yes. So the other thing, the other big thing in regards to the thing we saw before, the One Piece fan letter thing, was that a lot of people were talking about the Usopp one. This one. The Usopp one. So, I probably will make a video on it because it is shipping wise, so I'll probably make a video on it and post it on YouTube. But this was something that a lot of people got really upset over, because essentially, the moment you see this, the moment you see the line, as Kai begins to laugh and bond with him, questions arise about how this new friendship might affect a relationship with Usopp. a lot of people were upset because they thought Kaya Usopp was getting cucked. Which, by the way, is the wrong word to use here. Because they're technically not in a relationship manga-wise. You can make the case in the live action a little bit, because in the live action they kiss. But in the actual manga, they're technically not together. They made a promise, Usopp will return, and that Kaya become a great doctor so that she could cure and heal all his wounds, which is great. Which is a great connection because Usopp always gets hurt in like a lot of bad ways in the story. Right? Great connection. Great thing for Kaya to be motivated by. But being cucked isn't the right word. Right? Being cucked would be like if Usopp, and her were dating, and then all of a sudden Kaya was, going around having sex with other people because she's upset over Usopp not being there. That would be cucking, but then it's not. They're not getting cucked. If you wanna see a cuck, go see what's his face, Sneeko. That man is a cuck because that man literally said that every man should at least once in their lives see their girlfriend get fucked by another dude. That man is a cuck. That is the definition of a fucking cuck. So, yes. And he did say that. You can find it on the internet. It's literally there. But no, this isn't the same situation. This is a... this is a misinformation a little bit. Because I've read the story before. I read it like a long time ago. So I had to go back into it. And in the story, literally, what people are thinking happens doesn't happen. In live action, they kiss, yes. In the actual Straw Hat story for the Usopp story, yes, Kaya does bond with this new guy. This is going to spoil if you don't want to be spoiled by this or like just something else, or you want to wait for the animation or you want to read the story yourself. There's a link somewhere to the story. I could give it to you now. If I could find it. But for those who just want to, know what it's about, she does befriend this dude. But it turns out this dude was a con man, a fraud. This dude wanted to kidnap Kaya, but then she gets saved by the Usopp Pirates. Carrot, Onion, whatever the last one is called, right? They saved her. So, no, she's not getting cucked. It's just that she was, befriending this other person who was very nice to her, but turns out he was just trying to kidnap her and use her for money. That's what the actual story is about. It's not her cheating on Usopp or anything like that. It's literally her just, befriending another dude, which is, you can do. Girls can't befriend other dudes. Now the actions of what the other dude is trying to do, that's a different story. Sometimes you could gauge what the actions or like the motive or like some dudes can be, right? And that's where some of the jealousy comes from people from guys who are in a relationship, because they can understand guys can understand other dudes and what kind of actions they do. Sometimes it's easy to gauge that, sometimes it's not, which is where a lot of the jealousy comes from for a lot of men. There's nothing wrong, right? There's nothing wrong of being jealous, right? There's nothing wrong, right? It's how you handle that jealousy that determines whether, you're good at it or not. Some people become more violent when they're jealous. Sometimes, it's understandable. Other times, not really. Graz, get out of YouTube! Get out of the YouTube chat. Jesus Christ. And some guys are jealous and they become a little bit more protective, but they don't like become violent. They don't showcase. They get irritated and stuff like that, and they try to get as close as possible to their girl as possible. And so at the end of the day, jealousy can be good or bad. It's all dependent on how you handle it yourself, right? But this is not what's happening with the story. So this whole panic that people are having is, while understandable, I don't blame them for having this type of panic in terms of this, because this is literally like not telling you exactly what is gonna happen. Like, this is just a synopsis, right? So immediately people just don't even bother trying to find the context and literally fucking just go with whatever first thing they come up in their head. You know, that's a very common thing in a lot of like internet fandom. So many people refuse to understand or see the context of what they're saying and just using whatever it is that they view as it being positive for them but negative for whoever other side they're debating against, and ignoring the context and just using like a frame or something, right, without actually looking at what exactly is being said. One Piece is very well known for that. There are so many people in the One Piece community that look at the fucking look at fucking a panel, right? Look at certain words, don't even look at what comes after or before that sentence, and just use it in a debate to try to prove that they are right. And when people call them out for like saying, "Oh, well, could you like, I don't know, showcase what happens next or before that?" They refuse to do so because it ruins their argument. And that's where a lot of shit comes from. And that's where a lot of this stuff in the One Piece community is now. It's so frustrating. Does Kai and Usopp marry Ken? No. If you read the manga, nothing happens. If you read the manga, they just promise to see each other again, and Kaya promises to become a great doctor. You know, so that she can help heal, you know, Usopp's wounds all the time. That's literally it. They're not necessarily together, but it's literally the one ship in One Piece with any member of the Straw Hat that's like 100% canon, because it's like, it's clear as day that Oda is going to make them canon at the end. Like, it's really not that difficult to see that, you know, that's going to happen. Did the chapter come out yet? It did not. Nope, not yet. Curses. Never heard of you? Just shut up. Yeah, you did. Stop lying. Actually, let me see if I could play another song. Got that. There you go. There's some Japanese song. You said to me not yet? Yes, I was talking to you, Hi-Cham. No. Kaya and Usopp did not get married in canon. They're not technically even together, but they did promise to essentially, after Usopp returns, you know, whatever happens, happens. Kaya promised to become a great doctor so that she could heal all of Usopp's wounds. And essentially that is the perfect, like... That's like the perfect example of like an actual ship that is like 100% going to happen at the end of One Piece. Like, there's no question it will happen. Because it's like... Fucking hell, it's like... It's so easy to see. Like, you don't need to like create some sort of weird scenario or like come up or use like some bizarre panel or like use a certain panel instead of the whole context of the situation. This is likely the Kaio marriage trip. Shut up, Raz. There's no bestiality happening in One Piece. If you want that shit, there's doujins for it. It's way better than Luffy Nami. I'm gonna not comment on that because I know that is also bait. Imagine she'll have her. Shut up, Scratch. Shut up. Shut up. Swear to God, people are so weird. But yeah, this is also something that's been happening in the One Piece community where a lot of people were really upset about this. But again, it comes with being upset when you don't have the full context of the situation. One thing with the One Piece community that I've noticed over the years, especially in the last recent years, is that whenever something is given to you at face value, people run with it without ever thinking about, like, what's the context behind certain things. I think that a lot of people in the One Piece community don't understand that context is very important. Context is very important, especially in manga. Because in manga, you may have pictures, but you have to read what it says. You have to look at the before and after. You have to look at what the context is or what's being presented to you. And then you could, see, like, oh, so this is what Oda really meant by what he drew and what he wrote. A lot of times, and this is specifically for, like, power scalers, because they do this a lot. Shippers do it too, but shippers are, most of the time shippers are not seen as a viable member of the One Piece community because, apparently power scalers are much more knowledgeable about the series than shippers. Is that power scalers would say anything just to prove that their character is stronger than the other. Like, absolutely anything. Like, One Piece Twitter for the last week or so has been nothing but Admiral Agenda. Admiral Agenda. Admirals are much stronger than the Yonko and all that stuff. As you can, that kind of stuff. Do I think Admirals are stronger than the Yonko? Here's the thing. If the Admirals were able to defeat a Yonko, they would have done it. If Admirals were ready to fight, like, someone like Kaido, they would have gone already and done it, but they haven't. Now, granted, it could be because if they all went, then you lose protection around the other country, so that maybe another Yonko will go and take advantage of that. Sure, that's also a possibility, right? But, Admirals are strong. The problem is that they never have the opportunity to go have all three go at once. Now, can a one Admiral beat a Yonko? I don't think so. I don't believe one Admiral can beat a Yonko. It also depends on what animal it is and what Yonko it is. I don't think that any Admiral will be able to defeat Shanks. I don't think any Admiral would have been able to defeat Kaido. Big Mom. Big Mom, I feel. I don't know. For some reason, Big Mom to me seems like if you were able to send Akainu after her, she would lose. Right? But Akainu's on a different level. He's a fleet admiral now, so I don't know. But I think the only admirals that are really good right now would be Kizaru and Sakazuki. I don't think Fujitora or Green Bull are stronger than any Yonko. I do think Kizaru could have a chance. And I do think Sakazuki can definitely, really bring it to a Yonko. But I think the whole point is that in One Piece, Oda chooses who he wants to win at the end of the day. Because you could have a very weak character defeat a very strong character because of the way Oda writes the fight, right? Sometimes it's not about who's stronger, who has, the stronger devil fruit, who has a stronger haki. Sometimes it's about using your fucking head. That's a perfect example, and One Piece has shown that weaker characters who are clever and is able to defeat other people using their mind, using their cleverness, can win. Such as Usopp, such as Nami. They fought several times people who are way stronger than them, but they were able to prevail because they outsmarted them. And I think that's where a lot of people don't see how One Piece battles usually are. Is One Piece a battle manga? Yes, it is, because battles are an important part of the series. I don't think it's more important than the adventure aspect, but it is an important part of the series, right? It's very important. Because, Luffy has to fight all these pirates, all these marines, in order to reach his goal, so there has to be battles. Now, is Oda good at, showcasing fights? Not necessarily. I don't think he's great as, Kishimoto, who is a much better fight choreographer in terms of drawing manga than Oda. I truly believe that, right? Katakuri and Lucci fight are probably some of the best choreographed fight that Oda has done. Kaido would be like a tier below that. But a lot of times, it's usually not really well choreographed. And a lot of the fights are sometimes even shortened. Except for maybe Luffy's fight, right? So, it's like, yeah, I think what we are thinking of in terms of like battle manga isn't necessarily the same as like Naruto or like Bleach in terms of battle manga, right? But it's still an important part of One Piece, right? It's just people are thinking it as if it's like Dragon Ball Z, or if it's like, you know, or other series where like power levels actually matter. Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes there's a lot of fights that don't. 8 more days until Sparking Zero. I heard that it's being pre-ordered more than Call of Duty. That's fucking fantastic. I actually love that. I love to hear that Sparking Zero is doing much better than Call of Duty. That is fantastic. One Piece shippers are way toxic in the One Piece community. You have never seen a power debater in action, have you, Hai-chan? Have you ever went to like anyone debating any sort of like fight, like Zoro versus Luffy, Sanji versus Zoro, Zoro versus Kaido, that kind of stuff? If you've seen those threads, if you've seen those debates, you will be shocked to see just how fucking toxic they really fucking get there. Like, holy hell. That's not saying that shippers can't be toxic, because shippers are fucking toxic. You know? But just like with power scales, just like with shipping, just like with anything, there's always a few in the bunch that make it harder for everybody else in that particular space, in that particular community. There are toxic shippers out there who make it worse for everybody. Even people in the same community that I am part, who ship, you know, the same things I do. I've seen toxic people. I don't interact with them because I know that they're only there to start fights, to start debates, to just literally be toxic. But that doesn't mean that the rest of the community is toxic. I think at the end of the day, you're only as toxic as the loudest part of your community are. It's the same thing with how people saying that the One Piece community is very toxic. Do you want to know why the One Piece community is viewed as very toxic? Because there's a few loud people in the community who are so fucking loud, immediately people think, oh, that represents the entire One Piece community, when that is not the fucking case. The same thing with like the Naruto community. Some people, right, are really cool and really great people in the Naruto community, even in the Boruto community, right? But there are certain loud people who want that engagement, that want that fight, and it brings everybody else into the fold, and everyone else thinks that they represent the rest of the community, which is fucking wrong. It's stupid. It's wrong to think that way, right? So fucking wrong to think that way, because that's not how it's supposed to be. Any scary games this October? Yes. Silent Hill 2. There's that Willy ice cream cone game that's also coming out this month. Mario Party, although that's not really a scary game, but Mario Party. Although Mario Party can be scary because it can ruin friendships, so I guess that in its own self is scary. But there are a few scary games. Silent Hill 2, I never played the original, so I'm interested in playing the remake, and I hear it gotten so much better than like how it was first perceived when the first trailer came out. So I'm excited for that. And then there's also that, you know, that ice cream cone game that we played the demo of. You know, that game is also coming out. So there are a few scary games that I definitely want to play. So I'm excited. Kaido should have killed the whole Straw Hat, but Oda wrote a shitty story. Listen, I'm on the boat that Kaido is a fucking is a shitty villain because he didn't kill Momo. Now, to be fair, I'm joking. Like, I don't actually mean it, but my hatred for Momo, which is also for a really petty reason and stupid reason, so don't actually take me serious on it. He should have killed Momo. Should have killed Momo. But, if I'm being serious, if it wasn't for Gear 5, Kaido would have won. No question about it. Kaido would have won easily. but Luffy unlocked Gear 5. Right? So, ultimately, Kaido had to lose. So, while I personally wasn't a fan of the raid will fail thing, the raid will fail theory by Mr. Morris, I could see where he was coming from, because that would actually make the story a little bit more interesting if Kaido was actually able to defeat the Straw Hats and they had to regroup. But in the terms of the context of where we are at the story, it didn't make much sense for it to happen, because, based on what everything Oda has been saying in terms of like the ending to One Piece, it was very unlikely the raid was going to fail. So, I admire the idea, because I would have made the story a little bit more interesting, but no. Now, here's the thing. There's also the whole ZKK theory, which is Zoro kills Kaido. That was less believable than the raid will fail theory. The raid will fail theory is actually a lot more believable than the ZKK. I understand there was like the idea that, Ryuma killed or slayed a dragon, so Zoro's gonna have to slay a dragon, because he's from Wano, his family's from Wano. Ryuma is his, ancestor, so, you connect the dots. Woo! Here's the thing. This isn't Zoro's story. It would not have made it wouldn't make any sense for Zoro to be the one to kill Kaido, because who is Kaido, whose character, whose story is Kaido blocking? It isn't Zoro's, it's Luffy's, because Kaido wants to become Pirate King. Thus, Luffy has to be the one to beat him in order for him to progress in the story to reach that status of Pirate King. He has to beat other pirates. The thing that I've also been preaching about is that at this point in the story, we're eliminating the contenders for the One Piece. We're eliminating it. Kaido's not out of the picture. Big Mom, questionable if she's out of the picture. I do think she is, but it's questionable right now. She could come back later. All that's left is now Shanks, Blackbeard, Buggy. I don't take Buggy as seriously as some people try to make it, but I think that Buggy isn't really necessarily in play. But if we remove Buggy, it is Shanks, Luffy, and Blackbeard. All that's remaining in terms of who is the closest to the One Piece. What's going to happen, in my belief, is that it's going to come down from 3 to 2. Shanks versus Blackbeard is going to happen. I think Shanks is going to lose. Whether he dies or not, that's a whole different debate. I do think he's going to lose, because Blackbeard represents, right, the very opposite of the pirate ideology that Luffy represents. Luffy's idol is Shanks, right? The difference is that Shanks isn't necessarily the same type of pirate that Luffy is. They both represent similar things, but Shanks is a little bit more older and has other ideas of the whole idea of freedom and stuff like that. He has a slightly different ideology than Luffy, but that's the thing. Blackbeard is going to go up against the ideology with Shanks. Shanks is a master of Haki. Blackbeard is a master of Devil Fruits. We don't know if Blackbeard has Haki. Now, do I think he could have? Yes. But I think the point is that Blackbeard's going to want to beat someone who has strong Haki like Shanks, right? And beat him because he believes that Devil Fruits are more important. That's why he's collecting Devil Fruits and so on and so forth. His whole pirate crew, his whole ideology is all about Devil Fruits and that Devil Fruits surpass Haki, right? That's why they will fight. They will fight for that ideology, Haki versus Devil Fruit. Guess who's going to win? It will be Blackbeard. Because then after that, right, you now have Luffy versus Blackbeard. You have the two remaining pirate ideologies go up against each other. You have that now. Whoever wins claims the One Piece, right? Whoever ideology of being a pirate wins. Devil Fruit versus Haki as well, although Luffy is more Devil Fruit, but one of Luffy's main arsenals is not necessarily everything all about his devil fruit, but also incorporating Haki into his devil fruit where Blackbeard probably isn't, right? They're gonna fight. Luffy's gonna win. However, that's not gonna be the end of the story, because even though Luffy wins against Blackbeard, the One Piece will still not be found. Because guess what? Imu and the Marines are around the corner, and they will get involved, and that's where the final conflict comes from. Because now that Luffy won the war of the ideologies of pirates, Luffy's ideology will now go up against Imu's ideology. The same type of ideology that was with Imu and Joy Boy. It's going to be a very similar ideologies going up against 800 years later. But this time, Joy Boy's ideology, the same ideology that Luffy essentially has, will go up against Imu and he will win. And that will change the One Piece world. That, I think, is how Oda is slowly developing the story. So, we'll see what happens. I could be wrong. It could be a battle royale for all we know. But we'll see. Momo plot armor even he is a main character? Yes, I hate his plot armor so much. Clearly, he's going to be important later on. It just pisses me off. He's going to be the one that has to decide whether or not to open Wano in order to release Pluton. He's going to be in charge of that. I don't think that he will be able to use Pluton. I think that will be left to Vivi. I have a theory on that, which I'm currently writing the script for. I got other games I pre-ordered, Sonic and Shadow Generations. Ooh, nice. YS. Oh, yes. Roaming Song, Mario Party, and Dragon Ball Sparking Zero. Nice. I always hate Momo for Nakama theory. I never agreed to raid with her, honestly, because Mojima provided how they would win. I could see that. I could see why a lot of people. I mean, like, again, I saw potential in the raid theory, but I didn't think it would come true. I really didn't. I don't think it ever would have come out, because at the end of the day, Luffy was going to win regardless. Yep. But I think that but yeah, I still think that the raid with fail theory was much stronger than the ZKK theory alone. What do you mean about I don't think Fuji and Green are stronger than any... No, Admiral. Oh, stronger than any Yonko like Kaido. Yeah. So that's why for me, it just didn't seem like something that would work. But I would believe it more than the ZKK theory. It just didn't make any sense for Zoro of all people to defeat Kaido or kill Kaido. It really did not. Because the basis of that theory was simply because Ryuma, his ancestor, killed a dragon many years ago. And that's literally the only connection. There's no other connection for Zoro to honestly be able to be the one to kill Kaido. To me, it just didn't make any sense whatsoever narrative-wise. I'm wondering one thing. Luffy's gonna die like Roger? So, if you go down that route where Luffy gets a disease and dies like Roger, right? Where he gets captured and killed by the Marines, I think the whole point, I think one of the big themes of One Piece is that the past, the failures of the past will be succeeded or will be successful with Luffy and his crew. We have seen certain situations where Luffy and his crew overcome certain things that the people of the past were not able to, right? Same way how, like, Joy Boy failed, Luffy's going to win. You know, Luffy's going to succeed where Joy Boy didn't. I think that's like a big thing that happens in the story, you know, constantly as well. So, if you're going to give Luffy a disease, you kind of have options where, like, that disease will not actually kill him or force him to surrender like Gold Roger did. For example, Chopper could literally discover a cure for it. It could be part of his dream. You know, it could be part of him, you know, accomplishing his own dream by saving Luffy's life. So, that could happen. Or you could also have Law do, you know, what Law does with his Devil Fruit, which, me personally, I'm not a big fan of Law using the immortality surgery on Luffy. I hate it. I'm not a big fan of it. Absolutely not. Because what happens then is that you give literally the main character plot armor. Plot armor essentially is something that comes from a narrative standpoint, but if you give someone immortality like that, you literally are giving him physical plot armor, and that would just make it harder for me to be like, oh no, Luffy versus Blackbeard. Oh, how is Luffy going to, you know, win? Is he going to lose? Like, no, he's not going to fucking lose. Even if he loses the fight, he's going to come back and beat him anyway. That's why I don't want the immortality surgery on Luffy. Because it just gives Luffy that actual now physical plot armor that so many people complain about. Versus Doflamingo, Law talked about Luffy using so much haki. I don't know if there's much drawback in terms of haki, because the story doesn't really say much except for like lines like that. Like, Shanks has been using haki for so long, yet he's fine. Now, could actual haki cause diseases? Because we see stuff like with Whitebeard, we see stuff like with Roger. We don't necessarily see with Kaido. It's a possibility that haki does consume a lot of people's life energy, but Rayleigh also seems fine. So I don't know. I really don't know. It's like, I don't know if like haki really affects like the user that much to the point where like they get like diseases, you know, or like get hurt because of it. So I don't know. I really don't know. It's definitely a possibility, but I don't know. I don't know if haki actually affects Luffy the similar how like his Devil Fruit affected him like early on, like with, you know, Gear Second and stuff like that. What is your thoughts of Oden as a character? Not Yamato Oden, Oden. Oden was a really good character. I think that Oda kind of like wrote him a little weird at the end of the flashback. You know, with him dancing, I understand why he was dancing. It did seem a little off though, a little bit. Like, I don't know why Oden thought that Kaido would, like, you know, go with, you know, what he said. But I guess but I know that Oden probably was doing anything possible in order to help his people, which is admirable. Overall though, Oden is not a terrible character. I like Oden. I hate his son more. But again, that's a really, really petty reason to hate someone. So don't even take my hate seriously. I just do it as a joke at this point. But overall, Oden is a good character. Oden is a really good character, and I do like how Oda portrayed the relationship between Oden and Toki. You know, because it looks very much it's very much similar to something that I like, so that's why I also am a fan of him. But overall, Oden is a great character. I don't mind Oden. I just have a petty hatred for his son. That's really it. Which ending is best for you? Should Luffy win the war and free the seas and die, or should they sail happy back to sea? For years, I've been on the line of Luffy will die at the end. Like, for years, I've been saying that I think Luffy dying at the end is how One Piece is going to end. Over the years, I've slowly thought about it and was like, I don't see it happening anymore where Luffy dies. I do think that Luffy will survive. I think the whole point is that Luffy will continue adventuring because that's going to showcase his total freedom, which is what he wants. Right? So he'll win the war, he'll free the seas, and whatever his actual dream is will happen. And then he will continue going on more adventures, and that's literally how One Piece ends when the crew. You have a huge panel. The first color spread that you see in One Piece. I made a tweet about this, but like this first color spread that you see here. This first color spread that you see here I think this will be the last color spread of the series, but it will be expanded to see his crew, more people he has made adventures with. I think that this will be, longer. It will be like a three-parter probably, and it will showcase everything about One Piece that Luffy has gone through over the years. I think that's what's gonna be the final color spread, or like the final double page spread. I think that's what it's gonna be. And yes, Luffy's just gonna continue sailing, going on adventures, because that's literally Luffy as a character. So I'm more on the line of Luffy, winning the war, freeing the seas, and then continuing to go on adventures. Different anime, but whose sacrifice is greater, Naruto's or Luffy's? Sacrifice as in what sacrifice? As in like their childhoods, or like what exactly? Death? Like, are you asking like whose death would mean more? If they died in if they died in the ending of both series, is that what you're asking? If that's what you're asking, okay, so here's the thing. It's dependent on how much Luffy's impact affects the entire world. Because I think the one thing is that it's really dependent on like how you think impactful is. I think to represent someone's impact upon their death is how many people they have influenced over their life. Like whenever you see a celebrity passing, like rest in peace James Earl Jones, so many people came out and expressed their feelings about it. Robin Williams, when he passed away 10 years ago, so many people were impacted by everything that he's done. So the more people you have impacted in your life, I think showcases just how much more impact your death will be on these people, on the people you have changed. The problem with Naruto, terrible song to have this on. Hold on. Alright, I'm just gonna stop the song here. I think the issue with Naruto is that you only know Naruto from one specific region of the world, and maybe a little bit after you expand out into other worlds, like, Gaara and the Sand Village. I think that if both characters died at the end, Luffy would have impacted more people's lives than any other person, than even Naruto. Because of the amount of people he has impacted in his entire life, all the people he's journeyed and met across the seas. He has impacted more people's lives than Naruto has in both of their series, right? Like, you could say that like Naruto impacted more individual lives, specific characters, but Luffy has impacted so many people over the course of his adventures, right? You have Alabasta, you have Vivi, Rebecca, just all of Dressrosa know about Luffy and stuff like that. Wano, a lot of people know about Wano, kind of. Maybe not. No. He didn't want people to know about it. Fishman Island, people have seen what Luffy has done, what Luffy has impacted. So I think Luffy would. I think Luffy's impact, his life would have impacted more people in the entire world, or in his world, compared to Naruto, who whose impact shouldn't be lowered, at all. But Naruto hasn't impacted more people in his world than compared to Luffy, who's impacted way more people. Luffy's effect is a lot more, has more volume. Yes, he has quantity, but a lot of that quantity also has a good amount of quality. Right? It's not a measure of quality, quantity over quality. It's a measure of it's a measure of quantity, but how much of that quantity is has that quality. And I think Luffy has that more so than Naruto. His death would have impacted a lot more people than Naruto's death at each respected character's ending. What do you think about Luffy versus Luffy battle? Luffy versus Luffy? What do you mean by Luffy versus Luffy? Because they're both the same character. Huh. Alive. No. Let me see. Is the chapter out yet? Chapter. No. Damn it. Fuck. 2 hours left of my stream. Hopefully the chapter comes out soon. Oh, Lucci. Okay. Okay, Lucci. Are you talking about Egghead or you're talking about Enies Lobby? Because I think Lucci versus Luffy in Enies Lobby is one of the best fights and possibly the best choreographed fight in One Piece. I don't think there's any question about it. That is their best choreographed fight Oda has ever done in One Piece. There's no question about it. Want to see Funny versus Shirts debate? Sure. Lucci versus Luffy round 2? Yeah, well, Luffy won, so, Luffy won. There's no way Lucci could ever beat Luffy again, or ever, because he already fought him once. There's no reason at all for Lucci to ever win a second round, because no matter how much Lucci tried training, he did not train or became more stronger than Luffy in any way. No shot that Lucci has gotten stronger than Luffy. Lucci was then captured, so at the end of the day, yeah. Was there a need for Lucci in Egghead? Not necessarily, but the whole thing with Egghead is that it was all about the Marines and the world government going there to not only destroy Egghead, but also claim the Punk records as well as the Mother Flame, right? So they needed, CP 0 to go in there. CP 0 is the best branch of the Cypher Pole agents, so they needed them to get there. And Lucci, of course, was part of CP 0, so of course he was going to be part of it. But I think, at the end of the day, it wasn't really supposed to essentially just be Luffy versus Lucci. It was going to be Luffy versus, the main goal was to get each tier of the world government higher and higher for Luffy to fight. So you have Lucci, then you had Kizaru and Admiral, and then you had the Gorosei. So at the end of the day, it was just showcasing the strength levels of the world government, right? And showcasing that Luffy can overcome them. He cannot defeat the Gorosei at his current state, right? Because he had to blow them away and he had to, use Emmett and Joyboy's Haki to, get rid of them. But it was supposed to showcase, like, the level that Luffy is at the moment. And it showed. Like, Lucci, pretty easy. Didn't really need to really, like... It showed that Lucci was not going to beat Luffy, essentially. Right? Then you had Luffy versus Kizaru. That was the next step. Kizaru, Luffy, right? The shit that happened in Shibori, it was supposed to be the... it was supposed to showcase that. Luffy essentially won, right? Kizaru was knocked out. Granted, he wasn't able to protect Vegapunk, but we then see later that Vegapunk wanted to get killed, right? And then you had Luffy versus the Gorosei, and the Gorosei was just too overpowering for Luffy. But it was to introduce them, introduce their powers, and showcase where Luffy was at currently against the world government. So he wasn't at Gorosei level, in terms of when we're talking about the hierarchy of the world government, right? But it showcased that Luffy could still hang with them. It was disgusting. Well, he did use Gear 4 initially. But it turns out that Gear 4 still wasn't strong enough against Lucci. So he went to Gear 5. Also, I think Luffy going to Gear 5 now is essentially just Luffy thinking because Gear 5 showcases like his best form of freedom, he's just going to keep using it because he likes using it. CJ versus what? God versus Sans? What is this? Sure, CJ wins. Oh yeah, no problem, Albatross. Thank you so much for giving me things to talk about. I appreciate that. It was fun talking about that. If you have any more questions you want to ask me, you're more than welcome to. What do I think? I have no, I'm not, did you want me to debate on that? I don't know, it's a mean debate. It's just a debate that's supposed to be funny. It's not supposed to be taken seriously. If CJ wins, then CJ wins. I really have no opinions on that debate at all, High Champ. Yeah, so I think right. So yeah. Let's take a look at what the One Piece community is discussing. They're probably going to showcase some of the raw, so I have to be very careful. The whole thing with Swordsman, Mihawk. If you're actually an Usopp fan, you want him to die. I am a big Usopp fan, and Usopp should die so he can finally become one of the most Woo! If you are a big Usopp fan, you want him to die so he can finally become one of the most... Wow. Wow. How do you... Oh, so he's joking about being a big Usopp fan. I guarantee he's fucking trolling and this isn't an engagement post. But, like... How... Why would that make you a fan? Seeing a character die will make him memorable? That's not the reason why people liked Ace. Like, wow. Wow. Like, that's kind of nuts. Like, some people actually think this. What's your thoughts on JD Legend calling Mihawk a fraud? I don't think Mihawk is a fraud at all. Like, why do people... I've seen this debate for so fucking long. I don't understand it. Why do... You know what? I know what it is. Because this is one of the things I'm not a particularly big fan of, like, One Piece power debates and stuff like that. Is that, oh, this character didn't show any feats. Like, for example, like Shanks or, like, Mihawk. So this character can't be as strong as this character. What happened to reading comprehension? Or like whatever happened to like inferring or like taking taking clues from the story and coming up with actual logical reasoning? I understand if there's some bullshit reasons such as, you know, Sanji is, or not Sanji. The best example would be like Zoro can kill Luffy because Zoro you know has swords, right? Yes, swords and blades are one of Luffy's weaknesses, right? But Luffy is stronger than Zoro by like a lot at this point. It's not about, you know, swords. Now, I did mention before that sometimes fights are won where a weaker character can defeat a stronger character using you know, wits, right? Sure. But in the situation for Zoro and Luffy is still stronger, and it wouldn't make sense for Zoro to be able to beat Luffy, who's always been painted as much stronger. Like, even if Zoro uses his swords, uses his, you know, blades to attack Luffy, you don't think Luffy's gonna get up and try to fight? Of course he will. So I don't get it. You seen that before? I have not seen Vinland Saga. This is just somebody making comments. So, yeah. I don't see Mihawk as a fraud. The problem is that you just haven't seen anything from Mihawk in such a long time that people just making, like, reasons for why Mihawk is a fraud, you know, because this mostly comes from Mihawk versus Shanks debaters, power scalers. Like, to me, Shanks isn't necessarily a swordsman, right? He uses a sword, but he's more of someone who deals with haki, right? So I don't know. I really don't get into much debates like that, but like, I don't think that Mihawk is a fraud. I do think Shanks is a little bit stronger than Mihawk. It's still very close, but I do think Shanks is higher in terms of strength, if we want to use power scaling logic. Because also narratively it makes sense for Luffy's like goal to be Shanks, you know, level. Not that he's trying to become as strong as Shanks, but like Luffy's goal eventually is to progress into Shanks level before going beyond that. Compared to Zoro trying to fight Mihawk, you know, become the world's strongest swordsman. At the end of the day, Luffy will still be stronger than Zoro in that aspect. For me, Mihawk being a fraud thing is kind of dumb. This guy who has not gone all out in a fight, he hasn't found a worthy opponent. That's what I think. A lot of people go back to the whole thing with Jozu and was it Jozu and Marineford? It was Jozu and Vista, I think, at Marineford. And they're using that as like saying, "Oh wait, Mihawk is you know, wants to at least get a little bit serious," and he probably did get a little bit serious, right? You saw that attack that he tried against Luffy that Luffy saw and dodged, right? Right? That was Mihawk taking it slightly seriously. But I still don't think Mihawk actually really went all out. Because he hasn't found that opponent that he could go out. Right? Like, he went a little bit serious against Luffy. But at the end of the day, he didn't go all out. Because Luffy, you know, I think Mihawk respects Luffy for what he's trying to do. Because he also probably reminds him a lot of Shanks. I still think that he didn't go all out against Luffy, though. Because he knows that Luffy wasn't as strong as he was. Mihawk, from the very first arc he was introduced, there's a huge power gap between Zoro and him. That's a long way to go. During White Pick conversation with Shanks, they used to have duels. Mihawk did teach Zoro about Black Blades. Yeah. I still think that Mihawk is still one of the strongest characters in the series. I don't believe he is stronger than Shanks, right? I do think that when they do duel, it is a lot more even than people realize, right? But to me, you have to think narratively what makes more sense than just taking something and just running with it because you claim that there is no canon material, or like there's nothing, or there was no showcase of, like, you know, a character being stronger, or like a character not doing some sort of feat. I think because I think that feat scaling, is sort of important. I'm not saying it's not, but I think when it comes to like scaling, you know, characters and using feats as like a measuring stick, it's fine to use that, especially when you finally get some feats that they do. But at the same time, you have to think like, all right, narratively, if we haven't seen certain characters' feats, but we know just how much of a threat they are to the world, or like a threat they are to like the world government, that makes them stronger than, you know, certain stuff. Best example is Dragon. A lot of people have Dragon high up on their list of like strongest characters in the series, but yet we never seen any feats with him. Why? Why do they put him so high up? It's because of the threat he poses, to the point where like even the world government, even the Gorosei, even maybe Emu have issues with Dragon because of how much of a threat he is to them. That right there showcases that there's a strong possibility that Dragon is much stronger than, you know, what we've seen of him not having feats. See how that's different? You see how, like, why context is important? And like I ranted before, context is extremely fucking important in One Piece, and so many people refuse to actually look at the context of what they're trying to argue or what they're trying to debate against. What were your thoughts on back then about Zoro leaving the crew? Oh, right, there was a thing like that. If there was an instance of Zoro leaving the crew because the whole Cake Island arc, I think that if something happened, or if Zoro was there, Nightgrass, if Zoro was there during Whole Cake Island during the incident between Sanji and Luffy, two things would have happened. One, Zoro would not have interfered. Zoro would respect Luffy's decision to handle this on his own. And he would have been disgusted by what Sanji did. You know? He would lose respect towards Sanji, or whatever respect he had. Like, despite their constant bickering and the constant, like, debate between Sanji and Zoro fans, right? Zoro still respects Sanji in what he brings to the crew. He won't say it out loud. Sometimes he says certain things that, you know, showcase it, right? But he does understand, like, how important Sanji is to the crew, what his role is, what, you know, he is one of the, he agrees that he is one of the wings of, you know, the Pirate King of Luffy. So, you know, he understands that, right? If he was there, he would lose some of that respect he had for Sanji, right? Because of the incident. He would not do anything, right, in terms of that, unless Luffy tells him or Luffy says it's okay. Because at the end of the day, Zoro still respects Luffy way more. If he believes that Luffy is not handling the situation properly, he would have interfered. However, with the way that Luffy handled it, Zoro would probably have been like, okay, I'll stay out of it. I'll let them deal with it. You know, if there's any point in time that Luffy, in any sort of way, right, doesn't or feel or shows some sort of weakness, then he would interfere. I don't think, like, Zoro's Zoro will do anything in terms of how he feels about what Sanji is doing, right? But if he showcases any sort of like big time disrespect, or Luffy showcases show any sort of like weakness in terms of that, then yes. I think he would have done something at that point, and probably would have been mad at both Luffy, for how he handled the situation, and Sanji for what he did and what he said. I do not think that Zoro would have left, because honestly, Luffy handled it really well. Luffy handled that situation really fucking well. Right? He understood, he understood what Sanji was trying to, was doing, and he was not going to leave. No matter what, he was not going to leave because he understood that what Sanji was saying, what Sanji was doing, right, was not what he knew Sanji for. So that's why I didn't see any problem with the way Luffy handled. So if Luffy handled it that way, I don't think Zoro would have done anything. Right? If Zoro saw in any shape or form Luffy was not handling it properly, right, then he would have interfered more so. Right? He would have lost respect for Sanji, maybe lost a little respect for Luffy in how he is responding to the situation, right? Because he respects Luffy as a captain, like he does. It's just if he feels like Luffy's showcasing any sort of weakness for him being a captain for the crew, he would have interfered at that point. But Luffy handled it really well, so I don't think there was any way, if Zoro was there, that he would have interfered. I think he's all leaving because Sanji's situation is kind of dumb. It's kind of major difference between both Usopp and Sanji. Yes. What Sanji was doing was that he was acting this way to try and protect his crewmates. Right? It was a very similar situation to what Robin tried to do. Right? So, Luffy recognized this, and that's why he waited for him. Right? That's why he waited. He wasn't going to leave WCI without Sanji because he understood what Sanji was doing, and he was mad of him about that. Right? With Usopp, Usopp was disrespecting literally Luffy's captain ability, and claiming that Luffy was one of those captains that, would have, kicked, a weaker member out, when we know Luffy's not like that. Right? Right? Zoro probably would have said something back, but he wanted to see how Luffy was going to handle it. And then when he was about this close to saying that, Usopp should just leave, Sanji kicked him. Because Sanji realized that that was something that he knew Luffy would regret. They were hot, they were angry, and Luffy definitely was going to say something he didn't mean. But again, Usopp is the one who didn't listen to his captain. Because he put his mind more towards Mary and Kaya than he did to how Luffy felt and why Luffy had to make this decision. It was all about Usopp was only thinking about himself instead of how everyone else felt. Luffy was trying to do what would have been best for the entire crew. Usopp did not. Usopp did not think about it that way. Sanji's situation similar. Nami and Robin? Yes. I think Zoro would have been able to read... Oh, yeah, of course. Zoro would have easily been able to read the situation. He probably would have been angry about the way Sanji spoke, but he would have, left it to Luffy to see how he would handle it. Until he saw weakness in Luffy or, Luffy said anything, he would not have interfered at all. Also felt like he was a burden he couldn't move forward with the rest of the crew. Yeah, but that really wasn't like something that Zoro would have been angry about in terms of that in that situation, right? Because he doesn't believe that anyone on the crew is a burden. Everyone has their own thing, similar to like what Sanji said in Enies Lobby to Usopp, right? It's more so Usopp was trying very hard to think about only himself and not like what this decision meant for everybody, and how much this was a captain's decision, This was a captain's decision. This was not, absolutely not, right? Absolutely not a situation where Usopp should have questioned his captain. He was allowed to express his opinion, right? But Usopp was not letting Luffy have any words, anything to say about the situation, and that's why, you know, he was like, no, Usopp was wrong. What Usopp said was wrong. He made his choice. And even Usopp, you know, he apologized because he knew he was in the wrong. So, Zoro is very keen. He understands the situations, and he will only act when he knows that Luffy has to, is showing any signs of weakness or showing any signs of not being their captain or like their leader, right? Because being a leader means you have to make difficult choices. If you refuse to make those difficult choices because someone else who is disrespecting your authority anyway, that is showing a sign of weakness. If Luffy, you know, did not act the way he did with Sanji and essentially, you know, just told Sanji to get lost or anything like that, or like, you know, didn't understand the situation Sanji was in, or like, you know, the way he was acting, then, you know, that would have been, I think, an issue that Zoro would have. But Luffy handled it well. I don't think if Zoro was there, anything would have happened. But he would have lost some respect for Sanji in that scenario. Because you have to also understand what Sanji was doing, Robin essentially did as well. Right? So, at the same time, it's like, after everything we've been through, this is the way you're acting? Like, that makes no sense whatsoever. And I understand there was a threat of, like, you know, Zeff being killed because of Big Mom's influence. But at the same time, you have been with us so long, you didn't trust us to handle the situation? That will literally make Zoro lose some respect for Sanji. Right? Because it just makes him seem like a hypocrite, right? Because he did what he did to help Robin, and yet he's doing the same thing that Robin tried to do. It will literally make him a hypocrite at that point. Right? That's where Zoro would have more of a problem with. Not that they fought. Right? But again, Luffy handled it very well. And Luffy handled it like a captain should. So that's why I don't really think that Zoro would have, like, you know, left the crew or would have killed Sanji or anything like that. So. If Usopp was there with Luffy and Nami, that ship repair guy told him can't repair Mary, would Usopp still asshole to Luffy? No, because if Usopp was there, right? If Usopp was there, and that's part of the reason why Usopp, or Oda made Usopp leave, is because Usopp would have heard it straight from, you know, the ship repair guy. The problem is that Usopp still wouldn't have listened. Luffy still would have had to make a decision on it, right? Luffy would still have to have made a decision on it. Usopp probably still would be angry about the decision, and you would still have that conflict. But you could have also seen, like, after hearing what Usopp, you know, after hearing what the repair guy said, Usopp, you know, might, you know, there's still a strong possibility he might have agreed. But I think the whole thing with Usopp is that he didn't want to, you know, get rid of Mary because of how much it meant to him because of Kaya, essentially. So it wouldn't have mattered. I think at the end of the day, that was going to happen. Because it showcased that, you know, it showcased, like, Usopp's loyalty a little bit. Because he didn't care about how Luffy felt or how the others felt about the situation. He only cared about, oh, no, this is given to us by someone I care about. No, we're not taking this ship. You know, we're not leaving the ship. We're not tearing it down. We're not getting a new one. This is my ship. You know, it was given to us by a person that I, you know, admire and stuff like that, right? It wouldn't have mattered. It would not have mattered because at the end of the day, Usopp only cared about his own feelings and not everyone else's feelings, while Luffy cared more about, like, what was the best for the crew in that situation, as a captain should. Even if Usopp went with Luffy and Nami to the repair guy, It wouldn't have mattered. I think at the end of the day, it still would have led to that same situation. Because Usopp would not accept the idea of leaving Mary behind. New chapter? Son of a bitch. No new chapter yet. I think this chapter won't come out until tomorrow. I think Friday's more than likely the day that the chapters will come out now because of the whole situation with like leakers and stuff. And Shonen Jump and Suisha really going after them. So it doesn't look like the chapter will be out tonight, but we'll see. We still have an hour and a half left. Oh, never mind. I have an hour left. Never mind. So hopefully in the next hour we'll see something. But yeah. So yeah, I don't think Zoro would have left the crew at all with the whole WCI situation. I think Luffy handled that well enough where he would have, like, at the end of the day, respected what Luffy did. But him cutting down Sanji or him, being, doing something to Sanji, I don't think it would have happened. Because at the end of the day, Luffy is the one who has to make the decision of how he wants to handle it. And I think Zoro would have accepted the way he handled it. But he would have lost some respect for Sanji. Definitely. Oop, don't look at that. Keep forgetting, like, about the messages and stuff like that. So yeah, we'll see what happens. Yeah, I reached 700 followers. I have 710 now. Woo! Look at that. Anyway, where am I? Where was I? How would you rank all the post-time skip arcs so far? Okay. My number one would be Zoe. My number two would be Egghead. Number three would be... Number three would be Wano. Number four would be WCI. Number five would be River. Number six would be Just Rosa. 7 would be Punk Hazard. 7 would be Fishman Island. 8 would be Punk Hazard. That's my that's how I would rank it. Man, I just realized I'm not a big fan of post time skip arcs at all. It kind of sucks. Hey, no, is the drama around Ghost of Yoki worth looking into? No. It is not. It is not. Most of the drama comes from people who don't like the voice actress. Because the voice actress of Ghost of... what is it? Ghost of... is it Ghost of Yoki? A lot of it comes from the voice actress. And how like, they don't like how she views certain things. Of how some of her views are. It really has nothing to do with the game itself. Absolutely has nothing to do with the game itself. it mostly has to do with the voice actress, and some people making these claims that Sony had no idea that the game was going to have a female character, or like they knew what Sucker Punch was doing with the game, which is one of the weirdest fucking shits in the world. Because how in the world do you have like how are you a big company like Sony and not look into like one of your major studios are doing? That is such a bizarre claim to make. The drama really isn't that big. It really is not. The Assassin's Creed stuff is a little bit worth looking into, but the Ghost of Yoki or whatever it is, not really. It's just a bunch of people who don't like the voice actress who is in the game. That's just really it in terms of that. It has nothing to do with the in-game content, except for the fact that the female protagonist is a female. And the voice actress behind her. That's literally it. Has the chapter released yet? No. I'm over here refreshing TCB, but it doesn't seem like it's coming out. It's likely it's either gonna come out later tonight, like for me, it'll probably come out like at 2 a.m. in the morning, or tomorrow morning on Friday. Which sucks, because finally I wake up in time for like a new chapter release, so I can react to it on stream. But again, it's always something's always off about it. But yeah, it hasn't come out yet. Oh, the game is on right now? Oh, shit. But yeah, doesn't seem like it. Which sucks. I'll finally wake up just in time for it, too. I'm gonna cry. I always have bad timing in this. I want to describe Nico Robin to them. Okay. Let's take a look at this thread. Okay, Nico Robin stuff. Okay, that's very rare that somebody wrote a post about this. So I'm interested. Let's see what this person has to say about Robin's development, which I do agree is one of the best in the series. Resilient, Robin has survived countless hardships in childhood, remaining mentally and emotionally strong despite ostracized and hunted. Yes, that's true. Mysterious, she initially appears distant with a complex backstory that is gradually revealed. Okay, I see what they're saying. Okay. Her past is filled with loss. Tragic. Her past is filled with loss from the destruction of her heart to the death of her mother and the betrayal of countless people. Loyal, when she joins the Strike Crew, she becomes fiercely devoted to them, viewing them as family she never had. Independent, Robin is slightly self-reliant, initially wary of trusting others due to her past. She's one of the most knowledgeable characters in the series, especially regarding history, archaeology, and the voice century. Empowered, over time, Robin gains a sense of self-worth, learning to trust the crew and fight for her own freedom. Compassionate, despite her tough exterior, Robin deeply cares for her crewmates and values the connection she's made. Yes. Hopeful, after years of living in the shadows, Robin eventually finds hope for the future through the bonds of her friends. Yes. Courageous, she confronts her fears and traumatic past, particularly in Annie's lobby arc, where she finally expresses a desire to live. And to go from a lone survivor to a cherished man in the Straw Hat is a powerful narrative of trust, redemption, and personal healing. That's why she's the best writing character female in fiction, and she has a lot of things to show. My only thing I will say about this is that this is all essentially pre-time skip Annie's lobby stuff. The problem when it comes to writing, or like just writing in general, characters, you have to keep expanding them more and more. That's where I find Robin's character development a little bit off, because it stalls a little bit between Annie's lobby all the way to at least Wano. We had moments like Dressrosa, we had moments like in Thriller Bark, right? And then we have the whole Wano stuff with her, her Devil Fruit ability. But the problem is that you have to have it constantly happen throughout the series, and it just feels like since Enies Lobby, she's been in the background a little bit more often than she should be, right? Just a little bit, and that's just where like that's why I have problems with like claiming Robin is the best written character or the best written female character, because there are times when she's just held back and stalls a bit. Like, look at what happens in Egghead. She really didn't have a lot to go for her. Like, I get the whole narrative that she was injured, so she couldn't do anything, but at the same time, it's like, that doesn't mean she couldn't have done something. You know? Like, there's plenty of characters who have been injured, like Usopp, who have done something, you know, that's like, oh, that's pretty cool. You know? So, that's my biggest gripe with it. But I think Robin's a great character. The music down, or did I lower it? No. I was wondering why the music wasn't playing. It keeps being muted on YouTube. Will I play first Final Fantasy Type 0 or Final Fantasy 13 I have no idea. I absolutely have no idea. Still no chapter. Respect for Nozori has even greater soul skill than 3 billion berry surgeon of death. Okay. The Hispanic explains why Zoro will never be stronger than Luffy. If the Straw Hat had been holding him back in that place for a long time, honestly, I don't know how many of us would have died. What? I mean, this is literally just a repeat of what happened with Zoro versus Lucci and Egghead. Like, Zoro held Lucci back so that, you know, Lucci didn't go to where, you know, they were. I don't. If it wasn't, the dude has been super sweet, you think she's gonna wait for all she knows his ass is that? Oh my god. This is where the misogynistic fans come out. Oh god. Oh my god. One Piece, the power scales and the betas are really like off the chain. They really are. Mihawk is stronger than Prime Beard. I disagree with that. I don't think Mihawk is stronger than Prime Beard. No, I do not. Absolutely do not think that. Still convinced Shank's dad? It's still possible. Nothing's like, just because he has fucking different hair color doesn't mean it's not possible. Do people not know what genetics are? Like, don't know how genetics work? Usually with genetics, unless the characters both have black hair, right? Most of the time, if, let's say, a man and a woman get married and have a kid, the boy would usually have the hair of the female character. Or his mom. That's just how it works. Sometimes it's the dad, like with Ace, right? But most genetics showcase that it will be the exact opposite. So if someone married someone with blue hair and he had blonde hair, right? The male is a blonde character, then the female child of those two characters would have blonde hair. That's usually how genetics work. Sometimes black hair is just more dominant in general. So it's just weird to me. It's just weird to me that some people don't understand that's just how genetics work. It's really just a stronger punch slash. It's not something that drastically changes fighting style like Gear 5. Or if your Janbei does. I always said from the jump, Blackline is just strong hockey, which coding can be, but not always will be. CCOAT is just a stronger hit. Advanced Conquerors Hockey? Well, I mean, it's pretty simple. Just how like Advanced Conquerors Hockey works. You literally see like the sky split apart. So it's like I don't. Sanji is stronger than Zoro, even if it's a small gap between their power, and is a true right hand man of Luffy. But you're, oh boy, wanna know what my opinion on this is? The narrative doesn't claim that Sanji is stronger than Zoro. Now I do agree that Sanji and Zoro are essentially almost equal to each other, but the narrative throughout the entire series doesn't dictate that Sanji is stronger than Zoro. They're very close. They're very close, and equally, in strength. But narrative-wise, it's not a good claim, because narrative-wise, it showcases that one, Zoro always faces the second. Like during the narrative, whenever you have three, whenever you have a villain, you usually have the villain, and then you have the first strongest, and you have the second strongest. Usually, and the way Oda has always presented it in Alabasta, Wano, and East Lobby, Luffy fights the big bad villain, Zoro fights the second strongest, and then, of course, Sanji faces the next strongest. And it's been shown several times throughout the series. That's literally the narrative barometer that Oda has set in the series. Does that mean that Sanji isn't a wing? Of course not. Fucking Sanji is a wing because he's fighting the top three enemies of each, villain. But with most power scalers and most power debaters, usually they don't care about that kind of stuff. They just care about trying to prove that their character's stronger than the other. It happens. Blade, Mihawk Shanks debate still going on. Please rest up, feature keys, learn from school, go to gym. I don't know, will never be resolved. That's all power scalers. Like I don't know why you're just labeling it Mihawk and Shanks. Kaido survived a lot from Luffy, so if this would be a 1-on-1, Sanji would get clapped. Do you think Sanji can hurt Kaido with his scales? With his scale? Oh, like can Sanji hurt Kaido through the dragon skin scale thing? Essentially they're asking the way Zoro is able to cut Kaido, would Sanji be able to damage him with those scales? I think part of the reason why Zoro is able to cut is because, and Kaido even says it, that Zoro technically had some Haki infused in his attack. It really is dependent if Sanji does have Conqueror's Haki, because I think that's literally how you determine whether or not someone's able to slash through Kaido. Now, I believe Kinemon and Co. did deal some damage to it, so maybe that might be false. But it didn't cut through, I think, the way Zoro did, if I'm not mistaken. So, I don't know. Maybe. It really depends. Did Big Mom use ACOC against Kid and Law before the second day in Punk? I don't remember. I swear to God, this community is nothing but fucking power scalers. Holy hell. Stop breaking Mihawk. He's the current most strongest swordsman, not strongest swordsman of all time. What? I mean, who knows who the strongest... Currently, he is the world's strongest swordsman. Is he the strongest swordsman in all of history? That's a different debate. That is obviously a different fucking debate. Mihawk versus Roger. We all know that Mihawk wins. That is a bad take. I'm not gonna lie. You're saying Mihawk is stronger than Roger? That's an interesting take. Yeah, that's what we talked about. Sorry, there was something in my eye. Ugh. Why is it all silent? Whatever, just loop this. Fuck it. Flamon King has arguably better durability than current Sanji, but Sanji has an instant healing factor, making Sanji overly more durable than King. Maybe someone can answer, but does Sanji have an instant healing factor? I don't remember. I don't think he does. I don't remember him healing. Because I don't think that's healing. I think that's just his durability, his exoskeleton just being very durable, so he doesn't feel like some of the damage that's being done to him. I don't think he has instant healing. I don't recall it. I don't even recall that. Like, this is what I mean when I'm like, power scalers sometimes do make strange arguments, because I don't remember this. Now, granted, it could be he could have instant healing. I just don't remember. So, Luffy already accepted Ace's death 2 years ago after Jinbei's gave him hope. Yet 2 years later, hearing Akaino's enemies did this to him. Luffy moved on. You should too. Akaino is a Sabo victim. Oh, right. This is the whole... Who will face Akaino? Luffy will fight Akaino or will Sabo? I'm on the opinion that Sabo's going to fight Akaino. I understand the idea that, you know, because of what Akaino did, Luffy has to be the one to do it. Right? That Luffy has to be the one to do it. To me, I think narratively, the only moment that they will have a fight is during the final conflict, because it will literally be the Straw Hats and his alliance versus the Imu and the world government. Luffy's job is going to be to fight against Imu. So, who does that leave Akainu to? Sabo. That's why I think Sabo versus Akainu is more likely than Luffy versus Akainu. Luffy versus Akainu. Could they have a little conflict, like a little fight? Sure, but I think at the end of the day, Luffy's role in the final conflict is going to be to go up against Imu, right? It's going to be go up against Imu, and Sabo is going to interfere and be the one to take on Akainu while he lets Luffy go and deal with Imu. I think that's essentially what the final conflict is going to be about. What? I mean, it is definitely kind of Zoro's, but like, interesting. Alright. I agree. These are going to be so fucking heartbreaking to watch in the anime. Mihawk owns Roger. Wow. Wow. What, is Roger fucking sick and dying? No way the story ends with them ever meeting. Zoro and Shanks? Zoro doesn't even need to meet Shanks, I think. I mean, there's a very good possibility that Zoro never meets Shanks, right? How sad y'all think Elbaf? Jeez. Forget all the story and can start One Piece again. Get access to all the remaining chapters today. I'm gonna take the blue pill. I'm old. I'm like 30. I'm okay. I'm not old, but I'm like old. I'm 32-ish. 32. So I'd rather see all the remaining chapters today than go back and reread One Piece, simply just because I don't know how long I'm gonna be alive in this world, and the older I get, you know, the more chances of me not, you know, seeing the end of One Piece. So I'd rather see the end of One Piece now than. Also, it would help me with YouTube content. What? I swear to God, nothing in this community. In this community, it's all about Zoro versus Mihawk, or Admirals versus, you know, Yonko. It's like, do people not talk about anything else regarding One Piece? Maybe it's just this community in general. Derpina, hi! How are you, Derpina? I'm good, I'm good. I'm just, waiting for the new chapter, but it has not come out yet. So I'm sad. It might not come out today, and I'm only going to be streaming for another 30 minutes, so it's like, god damn it. So I'm just chatting, looking at Twitter, you know, good old Twitter. And, yeah. You're doing good? I'm glad. I'm glad. Derpina, never go on Twitter and look up Final Fantasy VII tweets. Please, I am begging you, never do that. Never do that. Is there a delay? Yeah. So, the last couple of weeks has been an issue where, like, there's been an issue where, like, a lot of, leakers and so on, have been, you know, slowly deleting their accounts because the company behind, like, One Piece and a lot of these manga have been cracking down on leakers. So it's kind of a safety measure that they're delaying the release of, like, a fan translated chapter nowadays. So yeah. Never look up fandom on Twitter? Oh, I mean, I'm doing that and I fucking hate it. Because it's literally the same shit. Like, every post is the same shit. It's just like, fuck, man. Oh, Mihawk is stronger than Shanks. Shanks is stronger than Mihawk. God moves with Yoko. It's like, fucking Christ. Talk about something else, for God's sakes. Give me something new. Good night, Haicham. Okay, so when thinking what the best arc is, best Straw Hats arc, Water 7 Annie's Lobby, best Luffy arc, Marineford, best all of One Piece arc, Egghead Island. I mean, best Straw Hats arc, that's like... I mean, what's the criteria? Like, all those Straw Hats together? Or like, I think best Straw Hats arc, you could have an argument for Water 7 for Annie's Lobby. That's tough. That is tough. Good night. Good night, Haicham. Looney, how long does it take to load up your clip studio? I would say 10 to 20 seconds. 10 to 20 seconds. Why? Is are your programs running slow? While you're waiting, I have a request. Okay, what's your request? A quick One Piece Halloween fan art? Give us Luffy in a pumpkin outfit? Oh. Hopefully my pen is charged. I mean, technically there is already a official art of them in Halloween costumes. And I think Luffy's wearing like a pumpkin hat. Where's my pen? I don't know if I'll be able to do it. Also, I wish I could show it to you guys, but like my display capture sucks ass. Unless I could do window capture. Let's see if I could do window capture. That's a lot of paint. Okay. Oh, there we go. Alright, well, let's see. See what I can do. Uh-oh. I don't think it's working. My pen is charged. Curses. I mean, I did charge it a while back, but I guess it just died. Unless it hasn't been, unless it didn't charge at all. Okay. Oh my goodness! Oh my damn! That is not what I wanted. Nope. Okay. Alright, I'll try to draw Luffy in like a pumpkin. Okay, I just draw butt cheeks. Okay. Let me use pencil. Yeah, why not? Yo ho ho. That's pumpkin-like, I guess. King of the Pumpkins? Yep. This goes. That's enough. There you go. How does that look? Something short. What is this? Luffy and a pumpkin. Something short, nice, short and sweet. There you go. That's annoying me. Let's make it I know I'm gonna get flack for this, but it's fine. It's just the color. Make it cutesy looking. You know, just make it cutesy looking. It doesn't mean anything. There you go. Happy Halloween! Looking at a fucking pumpkin. Loopy Ween! Oh, Pumpkin King. Yeah. What's this? I'm gonna do something stupid. Watch. I should probably not do it there. Bitch. Solution. That's awful. Then, if I remember correctly, trying to do Jack Skellington. Hold on. Oh, okay. Oh, that's why. That's why it doesn't make any sense. Gotcha. Okay, so that's why it doesn't make any sense. It made his eyes a little weird. Then it's like. So stupid. Ay, it's so stupid. Oh, God. Oh, God, Jack! There you go, Jack Skellington. Make Brooke? I'll give Jack Skellington an afro. How about that? There you go. It's a Jack of Brooks. Yes. There you go. Let's give it a little gray because it technically says a little gray. Oh my god! That's too dark. Hair. Guess I could move that way. Oh, is it like this? What the hell? What is this? There you go. All right. No chapter. Fuck. My October piece, yeah. And I guess I could give his skin a little bit better coloring. I don't know. There's something about his skin is really difficult to match. Because it kind of overlay with the hat and the pumpkin, so I'm just trying to find like the perfect balance, you know. Maybe this one. Yeah, that one's a little bit better. Just cleaning it up a bit. There we go. Much better. Alright, cool. Alright, well, that's completed. I'll post it on Twitter. But yeah, it doesn't look like the chapter's coming out tonight. Which is a shame. But thanks to everybody who hung out with me today. Appreciate it. Wow, that looks way different on this screen compared to this color. But then again, this one is this screen over here is a little bit more saturated. But yeah, it sucks that no new chapter tonight, which sucks because I actually woke up early early today to fucking legit, react to the chapter, but of course not. Oh well. Thank you to everybody who stopped by. Hopefully you enjoyed the stream, enjoyed chatting with me. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. I'll be streaming tomorrow. If the chapter comes out, we'll talk about the chapter. If not, well, I'm sure the chapter will come out tomorrow. So we'll talk about the chapter tomorrow, and then maybe play something afterwards. But thank you, everyone. Have a great rest of your evening.